I'm back. Road Rants on Star Wars. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Join the Road Squadron. Today, we are going to talk about this Kathleen Kennedy interview from Rolling Stone because it is pure arrow to the mother. Bam! Eye hole shit. Let me tell you. But first, here come the drums. Okay, so Kathleen did an interview with Rolling Stones. Rolling Stone, and it's on the website. It went up today because the TV trailer dropped, right? All this Rise of Skywalker stuff is ramping up, and all I can think about is 5 a.m. Friday morning. Get the Mandalorian here, please. I'm ready for episode 3. Let's keep that going. That's what I want to keep going. Got my Millennium Falcon shirt on today. Yeah, punch it, Chewie. All right, so let's look at this interview. I'm going to share the screen, and then we can cringe together because I couldn't believe some of the crap that came out of her mouth. This is probably the most damning thing I have heard. One of the most damning things I've heard out of her yet. And it tells you why Star Wars is in exactly the spot that it is in. Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow was slated to write and direct episode 9 before you brought J.J. Abrams back in. Okay, let me point something out. She didn't bring J.J. Abrams back in. Bob Iger did. So, Rolling Stone, is this, and that's the behind-the-scenes cut I just gave you, is this final entry in the trilogy a particularly hard nut to crack? Now, listen to what she says, and we're going to digest on this for a minute. Every one of these movies is a particular hard nut to crack. There's no source material. I'm going to read that to you one more time. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. We don't have anything other than passionate storytellers who get together and talk about what the next iteration might be. All right. Now, I'm going to skip down here because there's something that is being brought up. If I can find it. She says, so they ask her, so you truly haven't decided what's next? No. We've got some various things we're looking at, and in various ways in which we can begin or not. As you can imagine, do you go back? Do you go forward? All those questions are being asked. Do you stay in this galaxy? Do we go to another? The universe is never ending. The good news and bad news, they have endless possibilities. It's liberating, exciting, really, and creates a lot of pressure and anxiety as well. All right. She does talk about Feige. Kevin has been a huge Star Wars fan. That's pretty well known. His holy grail is to end up doing Star Wars. He's made that pretty clear. And I think he went off to do a couple of Spider-Man movies. He realized he could kind of step in and out of what he was doing specifically with just Marvel. He talked to us. He talked to the studio and said, quote, is there any chance I could step in and do one of those Star Wars movies? And I thought it was a pretty cool idea. So we're just beginning to talk about what that might be and when that might be, but we're a ways off. Here's the other part I wanted to talk about. Have you thought about how much longer you'd like to keep doing what you're doing? I've really enjoyed this. I have to say, it's incredibly exciting. And just the fact that George asked me to do this, I felt a tremendous responsibility with stepping in and taking care of the franchise. And if there were going to be new movies to really pull a team around this, that cared as much as he did. What happens in the future and how long and how much longer I do this, I don't know. I'm looking at all of that. It's been incredibly satisfying to reach this point where we've completed the saga, and I think made a really wonderful movie. It's going to be very satisfying to the audience. Yeah, I bet. So that's what I'm focused on right now at the moment. Okay. Let's touch on a couple things. She does talk about Rian Johnson in this interview, but it's in the previous sense. In other words, she says nothing about Rian Johnson on future projects at all. And even the part right here, we don't know what's next. Okay. Now, I think that's probably a lie. I think they do have some kind of idea, but I think it all hinges on what happens with episode 9. You notice she is non-committal to her future. It's because I believe that she might actually step away in the first quarter of next year after 9 comes out. Either as a successful walk-off. In other words, let's say the film hits $1 billion. She can call it good. Peace out. Number 2, the movie underperforms and Iger says, peace out. Right? Now, arrow to the mother effing bam. Understand what she said a few minutes ago. We didn't have any source material, we didn't have any novels or comic books to pull from. Did you hear what I had just said? Anybody? Bam! You see what this is? This is Star Wars Legends, formerly known as the EU. It is derived from and includes most official Star Wars books, comic books, video games, spin-off films, television series, toys, and other media created before a certain date, created before April 25th, 2014. This material expands and continues the stories told in the films, taking place anywhere from 36,000 years prior to the Phantom Menace to 136 years after Return of the Motor Scooting Jedi. Did the Lucasfilm president just forget about EU material? We've got no comics and no novels to pull from. No wonder this sequel trilogy is a laughing stock of a joke. And every time she speaks about George Lucas, I mean, it makes the hairs on the back of my GD neck stand up. Quit talking about George and how respectful you are. You've done nothing but disrespect George. You lied to him. We're going to take care of his characters. Really? Because Carrie Hart, Rian Johnson, and yourself all pissed on Luke Skywalker. Right? You have turned, think about this. You have successfully turned a television show into something much larger than the last film of the Skywalker saga. You have reduced the product. The only silver lining over anything she just said is she don't know how much longer she's going to be there. I think that's a good sign. It's non-committal, which means, hey, I could be out the door at any moment. I think she knows that. But the fact that she literally just went on record and said, we had no previous source material that we could pull from. How many books are there? How many comics were there? How many video games that you could have borrowed storylines from? and adapted for a movie. This, look, all you Kathleen Kennedy defenders, this is the point. She hired all these directors. She's hired all these people to write things. She's had to fire directors. She's had to let them go. They fucking quit. You let Ryan Johnson, Carrie Hart in that story group run amok with somebody like Luke Skywalker. You had an agenda against him. And you have run the film side of Star Wars directly into the ground. And the only reason that TV is looking good right now is because Favreau and Filoni are saving your ass. And Deborah Chow and Ewan McGregor will probably save your ass again with Kenobi. But we're smart. Hardcore fans are smart. They know you're not involved with that shit. So you don't get credit for it. You do not. It's not a win for you. That is one of the most damning statements that has literally come out of her mouth ever. We didn't have any source material. All you had was source material. And you scrapped it. And you've got the ability to go back and pull from it if you'd like. Make that Thrawn trilogy. No. Didn't want to do that. Wanted to make Rey into a no working ass Luke Skywalker. Because of your agendas. This is unexcusable. Unexcusable. That statement right there, by the time this thing catches fire and people get wind of it, good God. Good God.